Hi, I'm Andre with another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode recap, Turtle Power, and this is obviously a very special episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to recap Trans-Dimensional Turtles. This is the episode where the current Nickelodeon Turtles from the 3D dimension meet the 1980s animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the 2D dimension. I had the pleasure of moderating the Ninja Turtles panel at WonderCon, where we got to see this episode a day early with Turtle fans, and this was a great episode to watch with Ninja Turtle fans. You can hear all the laughs and the gas, catching the references that was in this episode, and watching it with people who worked on the episode. It was really amazing to be a part of that. And if for some reason you didn't see it, if you're too busy searching for Easter eggs, the episode is actually available right now as of the filming of this video at nick.com/turtles. It's completely free, it's unlocked, it's probably not gonna be there forever, although Turtles are forever. But if you get a chance, if you missed the episode or you want to watch it again online, you can check it out there. This episode obviously is going to have a lot of similarities, a lot of comparisons to Turtles Forever, which was the episode that was made where the 2003 Turtles met the 80s Ninja Turtles. But there are some key differences with this episode versus Turtles Forever. The main one being that they got the original cast to voice the Turtles. Cam Clark is back as Leonardo, Barry Gordon is back as Donatello, Rob Paulsen, who's currently Donatello, came back as Raphael, and Townsend Coleman is Michelangelo, and they even got Pat Fraley to voice Krang. I have a video where I went behind the scenes of them doing voice recordings of the 80s Turtles voice actors. You should check that video out. It's so cool because those guys are awesome. It was great to have them back. So that's a big difference. The other thing is that they also, while making jokes about the Turtles, there's a lot of respect with the 80s Turtles. I love Turtles Forever. That's a great special, but one of my criticisms about it is that they made the Turtles a little too goofy. I mean, they were comedic from the 80s cartoon. I remember it. I know that those episodes got really goofy sometimes, but they weren't like incompetent. In Trans-Dimensional Turtles, they fight. Like, they do some silly stuff, they make some silly jokes, they have their wacky smiling faces, but when it comes time for those Turtles to fight in this one, they fight. They still may use fire hydrants and pizzas, but they do it. So that was really cool. I like that. So how does it all go about? The Turtles are still in space. Fugitoid is talking to them about trying to find the last piece of the black hole generator, when all of a sudden Fugitoid notices that someone is coordinating a beam dimensional crossover to get the Turtles from space into a completely different dimension, puts them in a 2D dimension, and we get to see the Nickelodeon Turtles drawn in 2D form. And of course, when they're there, they meet the original 80s animated Turtles, complete with background music of theme song, dun, 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 dun. And just hearing those voices again, I mean, it was just so amazing to see it and hear it. And it was just, it made me so happy. It was just like, this is so cool. The Turtles I used to watch as a kid, and the Turtles I'm watching now as an adult together. Fanboy. I was excited. Man. The 80s Donatello has the portal ray that he used to bring the Turtles to their dimension. The Nickelodeon Turtles think it's some kind of weapon, so they immediately fight. Leonardo versus Leonardo, Donatello versus Donatello, Raphael versus Raphael. Not necessarily Michelangelo versus Michelangelo. They become fast friends immediately. They're like, you look like me, dude! Cowabunga! Booyakasha! They're dancing around and stuff. But Raphael and Raphael, they definitely hate each other. Raphael from the 80s is all like, get off me, you crack-shelled imposter! Of course, we get all the jokes, all the references about, you guys don't even use your weapons, look at the initials on your belt, and the absolute best joke of it when they got together, the one that we were hoping was going to happen, happens. 80s Raphael looks at current Donatello and goes, hey Gappy, what's up with your voice? You sound weird. And then Donatello talks back, my voice? Your voice sounds weird. And that's funny because 80s Raphael and current Donatello voiced by the same guy, Rob Paulsen. It's a Paulsenception. 80s Leonardo explains to the Nick Turtles that they brought them to their dimension because Krang in their dimension is trying to take out all the turtle worlds. Krang shows up, the original 80s Krang in the Mandroid with the Krang voice. And look, I love doing the voice of Krang, but that ain't nothing. That's the Pat Fraley. That's your Krang right there. Like when you hear that voice and all those gurgles and he's so good. He's so good. Krang has these dimensionizer bombs. He's put one in the Turtles 2D dimension. He's gonna put another one in the 3D dimension, and he hopes that those explode to take out all those worlds so we never hear of Turtles ever again. So then 2D 80s Krang actually goes into the third dimension to the current Nickelodeon version. That of course means the Turtles have to follow them, which means we get to see the 80s 2D Turtles in 3D. And it's weird. I mean, it's cool to see it, but you gotta admit, that's a weird thing right there. Because they got those big eyeballs, and the shells are weird on the side. The shells never really went around the turtles, so you almost get like a little bit of turtle side boob. And they had those big smiles like, hey, I'm a ninja turtle. Ah! The turtles and the turtles find three-dimensional 80s Krang on the roof of the Channel 6 building, putting up one of the Dimensionizer bombs. They go up there, and what I love about this is that 80s Leonardo takes charge when the current Leonardo is used to being the guy to give the orders. He even says it in the episode. He's like, I'm the orders guy. But Leonardo from the 80s are like, this is what we're gonna do. The Diners are gonna take that Dimensionizer bomb, and the rest of the turtles, we're gonna fight the Krang. Turtle power! And Leonardo from the current series is like, whoa, what's with all the turtle power? I'm supposed to take the orders. And they're like, whatever, man. 80s Leonardo is king. They fight off Krang, but Krang is able to get himself out of there and go to another dimension, while the turtles are able to stop one of his Dimensionizer bombs, but they have to figure out how to defuse it and how it's connected with the other bombs, so they have to go to their lair to figure all that out. So the turtles and the turtles go down to the current turtles' lair. Of course, the 80s turtles are asked to stay put, don't come inside, but it's not long before they are in there playing the video games, riding around on skateboards. This is where it gets a little deep. The turtles come face to face with Splinter, and this is the first time that they've seen Splinter since, you know, Splinter talks to Leonardo, but Leonardo is finding it very difficult to talk to Splinter because all he can vision, and they show the vision of just shit. And Leonardo tries to explain to Splinter what's going on, but he gets stopped by Donatello, who has figured out that the Dimensionizer bombs are in 2 other dimensions, and they have to stop them because they're going to explode soon, and if they do, end of Turtles. So the Turtles try to go back to the 2D world to stop the second bomb, but their Dimension Traveler gets hacked by Krang Sub-Prime, who brings them into Krang's home, the Technodrome. I'm talking about that classic old school Technodrome with the giant eyeball on top. And this is where we learn that Krang and Kraang Sub-Prime, voiced by Gilbert Gottfried, are cousins, and that Krang used to be part of the Krang, but everyone thought he was incompetent, so they banished him to the 2D dimension, and I guess also took out one of his A's. I especially love the reference. It was so hilarious when Michelangelo goes, is that Krang Sub-Prime? And Krang Sub-Prime goes, no, it's Megan Fox. It's like, because she's in the movies, and she's April O'Neil in the movies. Still. And then this is where the episode just gets fun. We get fights in the 3D world, we get traveling and fights in the 2D world. Krang mentions that there's one more bomb that's in the primary Turtles dimension, and if that one goes off, that's the prime world, so it's gonna take out all the turtle worlds. So Donatello travel to the prime Turtles dimension, which of course you've probably figured out by now is the Mirage Comics dimension. And unlike Turtles Forever, where it was animated, this one is actually done like a comic book. So they're completely in comic book panels. When they jump around, it's very like stop motion almost, as they go from one panel to the next. Everything is kind of framed a certain way, and of course they come face to face with the Mirage Ninja Turtles, who do not speak in this episode. They're trying to attack them while the turtles, or these turtles, our turtles, Donatello and Donatello, are trying to stop this third bomb. It's a really cute scene. It's a very short scene and an obvious reference and homage to where the turtles came from. A homage to Mirage. Very, very well done, and a different way of interpreting that world versus how Turtles Forever did it. All the bombs are destroyed, and Kraang Sub-Prime is upset at Krang because he's like, we're the Krang. We've been trying to mutate and evolve these dimensions for several years, and you're gonna blow them up? So he banishes old school Krang back to the 2D dimension, while the turtles take down Kraang Sub-Prime. And this is what I was talking about. The turtles in this section, they fight. They use their weapons. They're still a little goofy. Like, I love this shot of Leonardo trying to fight Kraang Sub-Prime, and he's just slinging his swords, but he's like in the air floating like a cartoon character. And of course, I love the joke of Raphael running up to one of the Krang robots, and instead of like fighting him or using his side, he pulls out a pizza, puts a slice on the side, and then throws the pizza at the screen, which is a complete homage or reference to the 80s Ninja Turtles theme song intro, where Raphael does that. Raphael is cool but rude. Current Raphael's like, whoa, where did you get a pizza from that you threw all of a sudden? He says, give me a break. The references! Oh, the references! Nostalgia overload! The Turtles and the Turtles work together really well, fighting alongside of each other. They even have a little bit of time of hacky sack with Kraang Sub-Prime, Mikey and Mikey, throwing him around before Donatello smacks him with his bow staff, and they banish Kraang Sub-Prime to the Mirage dimension, to the black and white dimension. The Turtles and the Turtles thank each other for helping each other out, and then they go back to their respective worlds. The turtles of today go back into space, and the 80s turtles go back to their two-dimensional world where they sit on the rooftop and eat pizza. And what's interesting about this is we've seen these 80s turtles before in an earlier episode when we found out that there were different dimensions when the turtles were fighting these Krang worms that were releasing all the mutagen. So it actually goes back to that scene. It all gets connected. And if you remember, that Krang worm swallowed Tiger Claw. So the 80s turtles are like, we gotta defeat that Krang worm, cowabunga! And then Tiger Claw comes out ready to fight. So he fights the 80s turtles, and that ends the episode. Amazing! Man, it's just fun. They had the voices down pat. It's so great to hear all the voices perfectly done several years later and still got it. That's amazing. One thing you kind of miss about this is like, oh man, because James Avery passed away. It would have been awesome to have James Avery as a part of this. I just absolutely love this episode. I mean, just obviously, this is so good. I love a lot of things that the current show is doing. I love a lot of things of nostalgia with the original series. So to see it all together like this and done in a nice, fun, and respectful way where they're able to put their jokes out there about the different versions, but at the same time, still have the turtles be the turtles that you remember and see and have fun with. I just liked it. It did a great job with it. Really hope they do it again. I would love to see them come back with it again. I would love to see other characters from the 2D world. If they do this again, you gotta bring back the original April, Renee Jacobs. I know Renee Jacobs had done a voice of April's mom in an earlier episode of the current Turtle series, but it would be nice to see her be April O'Neil in this, and especially if there's some way of her meeting the April of today. It's just, but this episode, man, it's so fun. So much fun. I loved it. I loved being able to watch it. I love being able to present it at WonderCon. I love being able to go behind the scenes of it. I've known so much about this for so long. It's nice to finally be able to talk about it and just share how happy this episode made me feel. So good job to everyone involved in this, from the current series to the classic series. Everyone that had a part in this episode, thank you. This was amazing and a great gift, a great Easter gift for all Turtles fans out there. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Audi 5000 Chain Chomp. Yomp. Cowabunga! Booyakasha! Turtle power!